Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Fox. Welcome to my show. The story of this week, in many ways, is the story of Taiwan Semiconductor. It is the largest company in Asia. It has a 662 market capitalization in the stock market, and it produces 80% of the world's semiconductors. I've been hesitant to invest in it simply because it's based in Taiwan, which China threatens from time to time. And so that's my hesitancy. But they are starting to build factories all over the world. And they, in fact, are building factories near where I live, which is near Phoenix, Arizona. There's good news from Taiwan Semiconductor. The company is TMSC. Its stock symbol is TSM. The good news is that their stocks revenue increased by 16% in the first quarter. They gave a revenue announcement. Now, that's prior to their earnings, which is supposed to come out on April 18th. This revenue announcement of the increase of 16% came out on Wednesday, April 10th. On Wednesday, April 10th, we also got a horrible CPI report that it increased monthly 0.4%, which was way more than what was expected. An important thing you should know is that many of the major technology and artificial intelligence companies like Nvidia, like Google, really aren't affected by inflation all that much. And the reason why is because they have very little debt. They're very rich with cash, companies like Nvidia. And they get a large amount of interest from the billions that they have in cash. So it's actually a benefit to them. One of the exceptions to that rule is Apple. Apple has spent a lot of money buying back its own shares, so they have significant debt, so they are affected by inflation, which is one of the main reasons Apple has been suffering and not participating in the previous rally. Taiwan Semiconductor's revenue was up because they are making more artificial intelligence chips, which reflects probably on Nvidia and every other artificial intelligence stock, which is part of the reason why stocks rallied on Thursday, I believe. On Wednesday, we got a horrible CPI report. On Thursday, we got a mildly positive PPI report, Producer Price Index report. The CPI, the Consumer Price Index, is usually more important, and the PPI tends to predict future inflation, but it's seen as less important. So the CPI was way more negative than the PPI was positive. So the market really should have gone down on Thursday, and it went up and rallied strongly and made up for all the losses that it had on Wednesday. What this shows is that you're in a bull market when mildly positive news overcomes very negative CPI news. We had a downturn, and I knew that the CPI report would be horrible because of the increase in gas prices, and I just didn't believe that the CPI report was going to be positive. I just had a gut feeling. And so on Tuesday, I sold all my stocks, okay, which was a good thing to do on Wednesday. But then on Thursday, it rebounded and made up for all its losses. So now I'm left wondering, what's my next move? My next move is to look at the very best of my artificial intelligence stocks and consider getting back into them. Now, I'm thinking of waiting until Monday. I want to see how this shakes out. The market is very fickle, especially lately, and I want to make sure that I'm going in at a good point. Also, In the downturn, I had made $570,000 and it had come down to $505,000. And my line in the sand was at $500,000. And it was close to that line. And I just decided I'm out for now. There's also the factor that we're close to tax day, April 15th, when taxes are due. And usually the market tends to be a little skittish, if not tending to downturn around the 15th. So there was that weighing on me. And then there's that old clinical lore saying in my mind that you sell in May and go away. I guess that used to be based on stockbrokers taking their vacations in the summer, that they were less interested in stocks. And typically it turned out to be a relatively loosely true rule, although I've seen significant rallies in the summer sometimes, so it's not always true. Next week, we have some major technology companies which will move the markets, and especially will move technology and artificial intelligence. First off is Netflix on April 16th, which is a Tuesday. They report earnings, and it's expected that they will do well. They have an earnings growth rate of like 27%. Their price to earnings is a little high at 38, but they should do well. They typically do pretty good. So that will be positive for the market. And Tesla reports on Wednesday the 17th, but nobody's expecting good earnings from Tesla. But I will be especially interested in what Musk has to say about artificial intelligence, if he says anything about that, which I will be shocked if he doesn't have things to say about that. The following week is very significant, as Alphabet, otherwise known as Google, and Microsoft report on Tuesday, April 23rd. These are giants in artificial intelligence. Microsoft, of course, owns 49% of OpenAI, which will probably be the first company to come up with AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. Google, symbol GOOGL, is very important with its Bard and Gemini programs, and they are so important in artificial intelligence, and actually are kind of the start of artificial intelligence in many ways. On Wednesday, April 24th, we have another technology giant, Meta. And Meta is converting, I believe, their metaverse program into more of an emphasis on artificial intelligence, which is what the metaverse really is anyway. Two more technology giants report on April 25th, Amazon and Apple. Amazon with their AWS, Amazon Web Services, they believe that's going to be where generative AI is built on. That's their projection. So they aim to be very significant in artificial intelligence. Apple is a technology company that's second only to Microsoft. And I believe Microsoft surged ahead with their 49% ownership of OpenAI. Of course, they saved the best for last. Nvidia, good old NVDA, reports on May 22nd. So we have to wait a long time to get probably the most important results of them all. If I decide to go back in, I'm going to be cautious. I may just stay away. I've made $500,000. I don't want to ruin it, to tell you the truth. But if I go back in, it's going to be with three stocks to begin with. It's going to be Vertiv Holdings, symbol VRT, Nvidia, of course, NVDA, and Super Microcomputer, SMCI. And as you look at the chart, you can see from this 3-month point of view, they've all done wonderfully. Nvidia's made about 66%. Vertiv Holdings has made about 77%. And Super Microcomputer has made 173%. But especially with SMCI, what a wild ride that's been. Okay, And I trade it frequently because it has these bumps along the way. Vertiv Holdings and Nvidia are a little bit more predictable and, frankly, a little bit more tradable because they don't have these as wild of swings as SMCI, which can really be unnerving. So I would venture back into these three stocks. And if the things go well and artificial intelligence it takes off like we think that it can, I'm going to venture into about another 6 stocks that I have ready and waiting. Thanks for listening.